Uh-uh. Mans are live. Well, again,
Again.
on YouTube. Welcome back, everybody. Pure Finesse coming at you live. Sunday, November 22nd for NFL Week 11 game picks. Me and Malcolm have been doing this all season long, and for the
All
first
season.
time since week one, we have the same record,
The same
95,
overall.
42, and 1. How do you
After
like
a lot
that,
of
baby?
after a lot of chirping on my end, I think it's due that you came back and had the big comeback to tie it up all at the same record, the exact same record after 10 weeks, which is phenomenal. So this week we have these games, and I don't know what your picks are. You know what my picks are, but I have a few of them that I think are kind of questionable, maybe that maybe not everyone will agree with, but it's just what I feel like, and I'm trying to separate the lead from Jay here.
You're funny.
Oh, first of all, before you get into game picks, I want your opinion on if you would have started Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston for New Orleans against Atlanta this week.
So Jameis Winston probably has the most skill set, the best skill set for both quarterbacks, but Taysom Hill knows the playbook a bit better than
Yeah,
Jameis Winston would. Do you know Taysom Hill's almost 30 years old?
I know he's not getting any younger.
And I feel like he's only been in the league a couple of seasons, but he's
I'm saying like
30.
you haven't heard about him until like 2 seasons ago. Maybe you really heard about him with his block punts and everything, playing special teams and everything, and then became the Swiss Army knife last year, and now this year
Well, he's going to be the
he's
Swiss
starting
Army knife this
quarterback.
week. He's going to be the Swiss Army knife this week.
Pardon? Yeah, he
He's
is.
for whatever
Yeah.
positions you play him because you can play him at quarterback, you can play him at tight end, you can play him at flex.
Well, that's
So
in ESPN. In every other league, you can't. Only ESPN fantasy can do that.
it's rigged. Well, your tight end could have like 20 points this week.
Yeah, or maybe 30, which is ridiculous.
I know. So let's get into it. Week number 11, first game on the schedule. Tennessee Titans 6-3 versus the 6-3 Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore favored by 6 points. They did lose to New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football last week. I loved every second of it. Thank you very
Yeah, I
much.
love it. Love when they lose.
So what team goes to 7-3?
I think the team that goes to 7-3 are Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans because Baltimore, we've seen in the past couple of games, they have no passing game really. They're a run offense team. Everyone knows this. Their defense is insane. So don't expect like Derrick Henry to have a monster day as he tends to have. But if you're like a fantasy player and you have Derrick Henry, he's good in next week's. But this week, I don't know. Stick with him. But I think Derrick Henry will still have a good night. The passing game is what's going to be the difference, in my opinion. I think Tannehill is better passer than Lamar Jackson. And for that reason, I picked the Tennessee Titans.
I'm 100% agreement with you, Malcolm. Yeah, Derrick
Let's
Henry had, I
go.
would say, an off week for his standards. Last week, I think he had 11 fantasy points, still had over 100 yards, but no touchdowns. And Baltimore looked terrible last Sunday night for obvious reasons against New England. You could see Lamar Jackson was just forcing to throw the ball, and you saw how uncomfortable he was trying to throw the ball, and not like the weather was pretty bad in New England on Sunday night, but it is in Baltimore, so maybe they can get back on the right track. But I don't want to see that. I know you don't want to see that.
I don't want to see
So
it.
hopefully, pick with the hearts this week and say Tennessee wins, and they go to
Yeah,
7-3. But
really hope
Indy
so.
is giving Tennessee a run for their money for the division right now.
Yeah, they really are, and it's going to be a close one, right down to the last week, I think. So
Next up, we have the Detroit Lions against the Carolina Panthers in a pick 'em. Detroit is favored by a point after coming off that last second field goal win, 59 yards by Mr. Matt Prater, who probably should be in the Hall of Fame one day. So, who do you have winning this one, Detroit or Carolina?
I have Carolina, and I have Carolina because their team is too good to be what they are. I think what are they 3-7 or 2-7 and something like that.
3-7.
So yeah, 3-7. Okay, so I think they're a better team than that. Teddy Bridgewater has one of the best pass accuracy ratings among quarterbacks this year, and then their three uh three wide receivers in Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore, all great receivers. Obviously, their defense is a bit banged up, but they do have the likes of Jeremy Chin, who's on their team, and he's having himself quite a season. Detroit, they are starting DeAndre Swift.
Are not
AP,
starting DeAndre Swift.
they're not.
Out for tonight. Out for today.
Oh, Adrian Peterson. I remember seeing this. Maybe you saw this too. Was saying you should have made that move like 2 or 3 weeks ago, putting DeAndre Swift at RB1. And if you have a legendary Hall of Fame running back saying that, I think you should probably put him in over himself. So DeAndre Swift might be able to have himself a day today, but I have Carolina winning this game.
DeAndre Swift is not playing today. He's hurt. He's out. He's not
Oh, he's
playing.
not playing.
No, he's not playing.
Oh, I didn't hear
Adrian
you.
Peterson, Kerryon Johnson are splitting the
I
reps
didn't see
today
that.
at running back, so I would not start any of the two because they're going to be splitting reps. But Curtis Samuel's had a couple serious weeks these last couple of games, putting up some sweet numbers. I think he's now in the top 25 of receivers for fantasy points. So against a subpar Detroit defense, I don't think Jeff Okuda's playing for them today with a hip injury. So I would be all over Carolina receivers today. Detroit's played somewhat good football. They haven't had the best opponents to be matching up with, but they seem to pulling out wins. One more win today, they get to 500 in a pretty tight wild card race right now in the NFC because it's up for grabs minus the NFC West teams. So
yeah.
I do think Detroit is going to win this game. Carolina, I don't know if they have that much firepower on defense to stop Matt Stafford. Obviously, there's going to be no Kenny Golladay for them, but it seems a lot of the receivers are stepping up. No, Marvin Jones is having some very good games. Danny Amendola has played very consistent football. So I will stick with Detroit.
Nice. So it's a 1-1 picks here.
Exactly. Next up, your Pittsburgh Steelers 9-0 going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 1-8. So it's a bit of a Pittsburgh favored by 10.5. I think we know who's going to win this game, but do they beat the spread at 10.5 points?
I do think they will beat the spread. They are going into the game with a mindset, Mike Tomlin saying, like, this is a bunch of professionals we're playing every week. It's not like we're playing some MAC team and we're a big
and
team.
a shout just chirping your quarterback there who is a MAC conference player. Not a big deal.
I saw that. It's like the Jaguars are so bad that Pittsburgh are they're chirping each other. But I think that they will win handedly. But they're going in with the same mindset every game, and that's why they're winning these games. Like the games with Dallas and stuff.
I know they're Steelers fan, right?
It's like they're too close to call, but I'm just saying they're going in with the same mindset. That's why they're 9-0. They're going to be 10-0 after this week.
Yeah, there's no shocker with that one.
Yeah.
Next game, New England Patriots coming off that shocker win, like we said, against Baltimore versus the Houston Texans, who only put up 7 points against the Cleveland Browns last Sunday. But in subpar weather, I'll have you know. So New England is favored by 2, and that's probably only because they took Baltimore to school last Sunday night. So who do you have winning this one?
I think Houston's going to win this one. And New England, they did win last week against Baltimore, but that was because of the weather. I think, in my opinion, the weather played a huge factor in that one. New England, they've had little glimmers of hope with Kobe Myers throwing a pass to Rex Burkhead, stuff like that going on. Cam Newton running into the end zone, but he can't pass the ball. Deshaun Watson has got to find Will Fuller today. And I think if he finds Will Fuller, and is David Johnson playing?
No,
he's not. So it's Duke Johnson again.
Duke Johnson.
So it's going to be tough for the running game because New Orleans' defense is good, but I still have Houston winning, but not by a lot.
Yeah, I do have Houston winning as well. Deshaun Watson, I would say, played very well in Cleveland. Obviously, didn't come out with the win, but he did play amazing. And New England is just shaky. Like their offense is very, very subpar at best. It's very one-dimensional, really run heavy, and
like Baltimore Ravens.
It will benefit them today because they're getting Sony Michel back from injury since I believe week 3 he's been out, so they're going to get him back to start playing. But it is in Houston, so there'll be no weather to affect Deshaun Watson and his boys on offense. So I do think the Houston Texans pull off the win. Next, this game I'm sure is circled for a lot of people just because of who isn't playing. The Atlanta Falcons versus the New Orleans Saints. Atlanta is on a hot streak, but New Orleans is favored by 3.5 points with Taysom Hill under center for the 11 fractured ribs, Drew Brees.
11. And just before I make my pick, I hope he has a speedy recovery because Drew Brees has been in the league for a long time, hasn't had a lot of serious injuries.
Oh, do you want to? He probably has the worst serious injury ever.
Which one?
In San Diego when he broke his arm.
Oh, yeah. I forgot he played for San Diego.
That's why they drafted Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. Jeez. But hopefully he recovers quickly because I think Drew Brees is like a fan favorite of a lot of people. So hopefully he recovers. But I do have Atlanta winning this one. I think that Taysom Hill is the wrong choice, in my opinion. I think Jameis Winston should be starting this game. Like Jay's mentioned before, or he talked before the podcast that Taysom Hill is a Swiss Army knife, and he might know the playbook a bit better than Jameis Winston, and Winston has that experience over Hill. So that's why I feel like they're not going to get stuff done. It's going to be like a Lamar Jackson type of
college
offense,
style.
if you know what I mean. So I think Atlanta and their offense is going to be so strong that it'll just be a shootout. If New Orleans is able to put points on the board, and Atlanta will win.
I'm in agreement. I do think Atlanta's going to win. They're probably honestly they are one of the hottest teams in football. I think they're winning 3
Yeah.
straight right now,
Yep.
and their offense is
They're too
starting to
good.
hum. Matt Ryan is up there, top 5 in passing yards. So it's not like their offense is lacking at all. It's the defensive side of the ball, and
Yeah.
without arguing one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and Drew Brees, it's going to be hard to beat Atlanta. And honestly, I think this is going to be the only game you see Taysom Hill at quarterback, because I do think Jameis Winston's going to start playing next week.
That's what I think too.
The Philadelphia Eagles are going into Northeast Ohio to play the Cleveland Browns today at 6-3. Thank you very much. Cleveland favored by 3.5 points.
Yeah.
The Birds, they need this win. 3-6-1. They need it badly, because right now everybody in the NFC East is in distance
Hunt.
to win.
Yeah.
I
I think
3-6-1, 3-7, 2-7, and 2-7. So it's some solid teams.
I mean, like Pittsburgh has almost the amount of wins as that whole division. Like that's just kind of ridiculous. You're a professional football division, and you guys are playing like awful. But I think it's gonna stay that way because Cleveland is playing good this year. They're 6-3, like you said. They've had some weird games and some injuries like Odell, but I think Cleveland's gonna be able to pull this one over the Eagles and Carson Wentz, former MVP frontrunner and number 1 ranked player in the NFL. Not anymore. Cleveland will win this one.
Well, yeah, as your local Cleveland Browns analyst, I'll have you know, they've been hurt pretty bad by the COVID bug this week, so they'll be without arguably the defensive player of the year this year, Myles Garrett, for this game. They're getting their kicker back. Cody Parkey will be playing. Jack Conklin, their big offseason signing at tackle, will be playing. So they were on the COVID list all week. They're going to be back. But I think this is just too much for Philadelphia to handle today. Cleveland is just too good. I love saying that. Cleveland is too good. For once in my life, I can say that. Hallelujah. And they'll probably be one of the first times in a while that they're going to be playing in reasonable weather. Obviously, last week the game was delayed by 40 minutes for hail, and then 2 weeks prior to that, and when they played Las Vegas, it was basically a snowstorm. So finally, they're going to have some nice weather to play in for once, and there's only going to be 2 home games left for the Browns after week 11, so they got a lot of meaningful football left to be played at 6-3 at a 5-way tie right now for wild card teams at 6-3.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to get good.
Yeah,
Next.
well.
2 teams that probably aren't in the mix for wild cards, but you know what? One is for the division. The Cincinnati Bengals against the Washington football team. Washington blowing it again on their last, losing it again on the last drive of the game. But they are still favored by 1.5 points. Are you in agreement?
No, I'm not in agreement. I think Cincinnati, their offense, they aren't going to play good against Pittsburgh and their D and their offense last week. But Washington's not Pittsburgh. Washington's a different team. Cincinnati does have, like, Joe Burrow is leading rookies and just passing the ball in the air to T. Higgins, the man, Tyler Boyd, those guys getting it done. I think Cincinnati's pass offense is too strong for Washington to contain. But if they're able to get the quarterback, because Washington's front seven is really good, then I think they might be able to stop them. But I think Cincinnati will edge one over here against Washington.
Right. You talk about Washington's front seven, and probably the worst offensive lineman tandem for the NFL season right now has been Cincinnati. So I think there'll be a lot of quarterback pressure today for Washington, but I'm in agreement with you that saying that Cincinnati is going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
They've been playing some pretty good football. I wouldn't say so great football because of the record shows it, but Joe Burrow, like we say every week, is probably going to be breaking Andrew Luck's passing yards for a rookie record. I think
crazy.
It's inevitable. I still have a problem with T. Higgins wearing 85, so nice. But yeah, Cincinnati I think does win this game. Next, one of those teams that we've said that is 6-3 tied in the wild card spots right now, shockingly, is the Miami Dolphins, and they are going up against the Denver Broncos this week at 4:00. Miami favored by 3.5. Tua Tagovailoa starting for me this week in fantasy because of fractured ribs by Drew Brees. So he is undefeated as a starter. Does he go to 4-0?
Before we start, do you want to make a trade? Oh, we can't make a trade. I forgot. Trade deadline pass. I was going to give you Taysom Hill. But I think Miami's going to take this one. Yes, they've been playing great football. You said that their defense is playing too good. They're not going to be able to keep up with playing that good of defense. But Denver's a team that's not so strong, so maybe they're able to do that this week because Drew Lock hasn't found much success and Tua's been on fire. No interceptions, 5 touchdowns, 3-0 record. I think the Miami Dolphins will win this one.
Nothing scares me about Denver's defense that will say they'll stop Tua today.
Yeah.
So I'm agreeing with you that Miami is going to win, and I think that they're going to win by a lot because Denver is terrible. I don't know
Yeah.
how they're not dead last in the league besides the New York Jets. But we just speak of the New York Jets. They're playing the Los Angeles Chargers today. LA favored by a huge 9.5 points. Is this the week, Malcolm?
Herbert needs this win. They need this one. They need this one. I don't think it's the week that the Jets win it over LAC, but if they do, it wouldn't be that much of a shocker because they're known for blowing their leads this season and they're still 2-7. But they're in all those games, besides the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're the second team with the most 1-point score games or like one
On the
touchdown or
opposite end
field
of
goal.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
Pittsburgh.
Always yeah, behind Pittsburgh, and then that undefeated team, and then you go 2-7. So, yeah, I think they'll beat the Jets.
I don't know if they lose this game. There's some serious question marks that have to be answered in LA.
Yeah.
I always pick the Chargers every week, and they always let me down. So hopefully I'm right with them this week that LA is going to win. If not, I don't know what I might have to leave this segment I might have to leave this segment.
And I don't even think that this could be a lock of the week. It can't be it's usually the Jets are always the lock of the week. You see them Sunday
For
morning.
your pick'em
And,
pools, I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be it this week. I don't think it will be.
Right. One of the better games on the schedule this week is Green Bay against
Yeah.
the Indianapolis Colts. Shockingly, Indianapolis is favored by 1.5 points. I don't know how you can say that Indianapolis is favored.
Their defense.
Green Bay is arguably a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, they are, but Indianapolis's defense is one of the top defenses in the league.
You're going with Indy.
I'm not going. Oh, no, I'm not going with Indy. I'm just saying
no.
that you can't discount the fact that they have a great defense, and that's why they're playing so good, and maybe that's why they're favored. But like you said, Green Bay's too good. Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams has been unstoppable this year. Aaron Jones, he's back from his second week after being injured, so he played last week. Didn't have a great game, but expect him to. I don't know. I think he might break out this game, even against this strong defense. So Green Bay over Indy.
Yeah, 100% agreement. Phillip Rivers, bit of a dumpster fire. Just, I don't know. And their running back situation is really up in the air. There's three running backs that you can really play.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis right now, you have Perkins, Jonathan Taylor, and Nyheim Hines. So I'd be curious to see who gets the bulk of the carries this week because Green Bay is allowing a touchdown per game to running backs. So I would keep my eye fantasy-wise on all three of those Colts running backs. But Nyheim Hines, PPR machine, had 28 last week, so I'm sure he's going to carry that momentum into this Sunday.
Yep.
Dallas Cowboys at 2-7 go up against the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota favored by 7.5 points. Minnesota, if they win, they get to 500.
Let's go. And I think Dalvin Cook
is
really
having a monster game today.
Yeah, you have Dalvin Cook. You're starting him because Dallas's defense is atrocious. Dallas is in that NFC least division. I think Minnesota will win this one handedly, and they'll go to 500. And I think they deserve to be above 500 team with the way that they're playing over the past couple or few weeks.
Right. They're not going to have to rely on their defense today, I don't think, at all. Maybe I think Andy Dalton is making his return this week after contracting COVID, so I'm sure he'll be back and ready to play. But Dalvin Cook is going to have a huge, huge game against this very, very soft rushing defense of the Dallas Cowboys. Just worth mentioning, Cleveland put up 300 rushing yards against the Dallas Cowboys back in week 4. So, if Dalvin Cook, who could get MVP votes this season, is going to have his way with Big D this Sunday afternoon. The Sunday nighter is the Kansas City Chiefs going up to the team that they lost to, their only loss of the season, the Las Vegas Raiders, who are in that tie at 6-3 for the AFC wild card. Kansas City is favored by a touchdown. Does Vegas pull it off again?
I don't think so. I think Kansas City is coming up for blood. They don't like losing. Patty Mahomes doesn't like losing. Las Vegas, don't get me wrong, they're a pretty good team. They're a really good football team. But Kansas City's just overpowered on offense. And they did lose last time, but I think they've learned from their mistakes, and they're going to win this one.
I think so, too. Yeah. Josh Jacobs is playing out of his mind for the last couple of weeks for how much yards and possessions and touchdowns he's got for fantasy owners and for the Raiders in general. But Kansas City, I think, is winning this one. I think Mecole Hardman is a question mark with COVID, so I don't know if he is going to be playing. You're smiling. I can't take it seriously with your smile.
Sorry, one sec.
Kansas City is going to get to 8-9-1 and keep carrying the AFC West.
Before you get to the last game.
Monday Night Football. The Los
Before you,
Angeles Rams. What? Sorry?
before you get to the last game, Trevor's commenting, saying bet money because we're 95 42 and 1. Been getting every game almost right. He's saying, "Oh, you can make some money." I don't know if I'm that confident in myself.
Oh, I
I'm
have my
betting
tickets ready to go.
you have your
I have
tickets
my
ready.
tickets. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have my tickets ready, but maybe I should because we have the same record right now. So who
Yeah, my
knows?
tickets are ready to go. I won 14.90 last week. Watch your mouths. Oh, yeah. Not a big deal.
Not a
But
big
yeah,
deal.
we go back to Monday Night Football. Los Angeles Rams against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both teams coming up some pretty nice wins. LA Rams over Seattle 2 weeks ago, last week, excuse me, and Tampa Bay coming up a huge win against Carolina. Tampa Bay favored by 3.5 points. It's gonna be a good offense against a great defense.
Yeah, it will be. But the Rams offense, Jared Goff, I was expecting him to do way better last week against the awful Seattle defense and passing wise, and he did not do that great. He's relying on the run a lot. I don't think they're going to be able to get done against Tampa Bay if he's not able to throw the ball as well as he can, because we know he can throw the ball deep and long and for a lot of yards all the time, every game. We've seen it when they made it to the Super Bowl that year against Tom Brady, and he's facing him again. But I think Tom Brady will win this one again with the Buccaneers.
Me too. I'm really looking forward to seeing the matchup. Whoever gets matched up against Jalen Ramsey this week. If
Yeah,
it's either like you could pick your poison: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown. So it's going to be interesting to see who is the one getting matched up with Jalen Ramsey throughout the night. But it's nice we're seeing some very good primetime games. This week is definitely one of them. You saw Thursday night Seattle playing
Yeah.
against
Arizona.
Arizona, 6-2,
Yeah.
battling out for the division, and you're going to get Kansas City, Las Vegas tonight, and then you're going to get LA Rams against Tampa Bay for Monday. So it's
A lot of
probably
good
the best
games.
primetime games for the NFL season so far. And yeah, we're like Trevor said, we're tied for records this week. I think we only have a couple games that deviate, so we should be close
Yeah.
going into week 12 again. But it's going to be your boy, the sports
Oh, he's
encyclopedia
mocking
over
me.
here.
Wow. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
confident that I'm going to be ahead of you this week, but we'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
put your money where your mouth is.
Okay, we will. I should go
Oh,
get
yeah,
my card
nice.
ready before 1 o'clock.
Yeah, you got time. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll leave you with that. Thanks for coming on YouTube Live. It's pretty sweet so far. I think let me keep doing this one for a while for YouTube Live for game picks because just
Yeah.
before Sunday we got an hour and a half before 1 o'clock games get going. So there's plenty of time to go get your card, Malcolm. Don't you worry.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time. So until we'll be dropping more Pure Finesse trivia this week, Trevor comes on for his part 2 post 2000s NBA trivia. Hopefully, he doesn't get disrespected with the type of polls that we saw last time for Malcolm giving his. Everyone thinking that Malcolm was going to pull that one out. So hopefully, he doesn't get disrespected this week.